Hello, my Teaserking family. Doing my Thursday class. So Tuesday, Thursday sounds about right. I'm much more well rested than I'd been because it was always that adjustment getting up early. Before I just was up later and got up later. And or if I got up at 5, 6 in the morning, I'd go back to sleep. Now I get up and off we go. Anyway, work's going great. Feet are fine. Back's another issue. I think I'll have to try a physical therapist and or one of those massage things or something like that. Anyway, so we've got an Alistair McLean for you, or McLeod. We've got another Egon. He was on somebody else at the conference did him. It's really the same thing. It's not gold going up, it's the dollars going down. And when nobody wants them is when they will go, is when gold goes through the roof. And it's when the dollar goes out. And we think it's getting closer and closer and closer. What'll happen, excuse me for eating dinner. What'll happen is it's the foreigners that are going to kill the dollar. Since they printed so many dollars and all the foreigners have it, once the foreigners get scared, because there's the central bank issues, raising rates, there's all the bank collapses, there's the inflation, and then there's the U.S. like bullying other countries. Oh, we're gonna what do they call it? What is it? I don't know. They're bullying them. You got to do this, or we're going to do that to your dollar, or put you on, I can't think of the word, but whatever they did to Russia, what's the word? Anyway. Excuse me. Can't think of it. Anyway, once they can start doing that, the other countries are, there's nothing they can do. They raise the rates on us. They cut us. They won't let us do certain things. Sanctions, that's the word. They can sanction us. So nobody wants to be bullied like that. So therefore, that's another reason everybody, but see, it's kind of like once one person's leaving one country, now the others are getting balls going, well, we're out of it too. We're out of it too. And slowly you got 70, 80 countries getting out of the dollar. We don't want it. We don't want to be sanctioned. We don't want these high interest rates. And that's basically the end of it. So it's coming very, very soon. So I want to show you a quick little note on that. Ford recalls 310,000 trucks. Ford's about to go out of business. They went electronic. They have no idea what they're doing. They can't sell the vehicles because they're too expensive. They can't sell the vehicles on their lot, as I showed you. They're trying to sell them for $90,000, $70,000. Like they have no clue what they're doing. What's the market for a Ford F-150? Why the market's 30,000, you're selling it for 90. Do you think you're going to make any sales? Are you doing it because you honestly think you're going to make a sale, or are you doing it because you're so stupid you have no idea what your market is? I don't know. But I wanted to show you that. Now, I have let's look at gold, but I have an Alistair today. So I got an Alistair from last time and now another Alistair. So we see gold down, but who cares? It's COMEX. It's not real. So gold's down $25 to 19. Funny how at 1950 started going back up because that's the trigger. And then silver at 23.51. Oh my God, let's panic and panic. No, we don't panic. So what Alistair said today, which I'll get to, he's saying that it's just they're cleaning out the rest of the bullshit of people that are still doing this short, the COMEX people. So they're just killing them now. So this is like, okay, get out, rinse them out, as he calls it. And again, it doesn't matter until we get to physical. So we don't care because we're waiting on the physical price. So this price is Mickey Mouse. It's fantasy. We don't know what it is. We don't care what it is. It's not a real price. So you don't get all upset. Silver's down to 23.50. Gold's down to 19.50. It's a freaking buying opportunity. I'm going to go buy more gold because now it's 20.50 instead of 22. It had hit what, 20.50, so it was like 21.50 or something, 21.70 to buy. Now at 19.50, I can probably get it for just over maybe 20.20 for Cougarans and 20.70 for Eagles. So I want to buy more because I don't know how much we need, but I know it's cheap. I know it's priced in COMEX and not in physical. I know it's way undervalued. And therefore, it's almost a no-brainer. I know now that I'm working, I got my first check today. Although it was only for 4 days, it was still a monster check. And then in 2 weeks, then I start getting the checks. And so I can now start, okay, I can pull the money out of the safe and buy gold with it because that's what the point of the money in the safe was. What if I don't go back to work and I got to rely on Social Security? Now that I'm back to work, I know I'm going to get this money in. Now, hopefully it's okay. It's at Harley, so hopefully it's recession proof where I'll be okay. Hopefully they won't let, they've already let 2 people, I'm replacing 2 people. And I did a really good job today. I got an important project really quickly done. They're so impressed. They're like, wow, how do you do this? You've only been here a week. And I go, well, 4 years of Mercedes, it does that. So I'm really, really happy I'm working again. Working from home, it's just get up, jump in the shower, and there's no driving. There's no rush hour. There's no going out to eat. I made hamburgers. I got veggies, last night. So it's just a matter of, cooking and then just eating them while you work. And it's just, or you take a few minutes to relax, watch YouTube, watch Alistair, and off you go. So let's look at the NBA. What's been going on there? So we go back to yesterday. Miami beats Boston 123-116. It's unbelievable. So Miami's an 8 seed. So I don't know what happened. I don't follow the NBA during the regular season. I watch football. And I don't care about the NBA because Isaiah, Jordan, Bird and Lambeer, and Magic and Kareem aren't playing. So really hard to. So I don't know what happened. Did Jimmy Butler, was he injured all year? Now he's back. Did they trade for him? This is not an 8 seed. But you got to be smart enough to realize it's not an 8 seed. We do the same thing in college football when they rank the teams. And I'll go, this isn't a 1 seed. A team like TCU last year, it was ranked really low. 10, 15, and I go, this is a top 5 team. Utah, UCLA, all those teams were top 5 teams ranked 15th, 20th, and got spread that way. And your top teams, with Clemson, with Uglia Buglia, and Alabama, were clearly not top 5, they were maybe top 10. Well, Clemson wasn't. Clemson sucked, but so you realize that. So don't get caught into the ratings. So let's see what we got here. We got Miami wins 123 to 116. They go up 1-0. Now here's where we want Boston in the next game, we think. The Lakers, I think they got killed. They lose 132 to 126 to the Nuggets. They lose by 6.5. I guess Jokic is the big guy. Well, I don't know. Against, I know, LeBron and then Anthony Davis, number 2. So the Nuggets win by 6. So they played competitive in a high-scoring game. And Denver goes up 1-0. So let's go to today. So we know the Nuggets are up 1-0 in Denver. Not really a do or die because LA goes home. Even if they go down 2-0, they win both home games. It's 2-2. It's do or die if the home team loses. Boston's a do or die. Lakers aren't a do or die at this situation because they're supposed to lose both games at Denver and win both games in LA. Denver's minus 5.5. Probably an over the way it went. 500 points in the first game. I could see it going over. So this looks like an over series from the outset. But Denver laying 5.5, I have no play here. Normally you take the Lakers off of a loss, but they'll probably play a close. They could play a close game. We don't know, but there's no incentive that we are looking for. So maybe you go over tonight. 226 is what, 110 to 110. And that doesn't even get you there. So you need a 120. That's a high in a playoff game to get there. Tomorrow, Boston 9 over Miami. Now that is a back against the wall game. Boston must win, but they're laying 9 to a team like Miami who's already won the first game. Now, normally the mentality is Miami's looking for a split, and they got it. So now we look for Boston to make adjustments because now they've figured out things. They're minus 9, which is a big number. I don't know. It's a small Boston bet because if they go down 2-0, they're done because then they got to go play Miami 2 games. They're going to lose at least one. That puts them down 3-1. So Boston's done. They must win. So it's a small, but we don't like the 9. It's a small. They got killed by Miami at home. It's hard to lay 9 with a team that's not better. So we see that, and that's what we're going to go with. So, again, tonight, there's nothing to play, maybe the over, but it's a high over. And then tomorrow, it's Boston, very tiny because of the spread's 9. So it's really kind of nothing really there. Don't force it. Okay. Now, I was talking to this girl. This girl hits me up on LinkedIn. Not an adult girl. I don't know what she is. She's Chinese from Canada. Let's put it that way. And we started talking about gold. So she wants to pick my brain. Okay. I tell her, watch the show. And she asked me all these really strange questions. And then she starts talking about FX gold, which is trading gold in currency. I've never really heard of it. I would never do anything. All I say to her is don't play paper gold, play physical gold. And she said, I do FX trading with gold all the time. And I go, now it theoretically makes sense from a standpoint of the dollar's going down, therefore gold will go up. But I just tell her, go play physical. What do you do? What are you fucking around with paper? Because She shows me she's up 90,000. And I said, well, 1,000 times 0 is 0. I go, there's no difference that than playing stocks and you have 90,000 in stocks. But it's in dollars. So what good is it? So yeah, she was just trying to scam me into giving her money for FX or something like that. Just the people online, and this is LinkedIn, this is professional network. It's unbelievable how they try to scam you. But I was very upset. Yeah, I'm trying to be nice, and I'm saying I do was what I tell you guys: buy the physical. You can't lose buying physical. Any paper you're going to lose. I'm up 90 grand. Yeah, well, yeah, you probably bought Bitcoin at $5 when it was, the old story. Oh, I bought Apple. Let's see who this is. Hello? Hello? I don't know who that was. It was a New York number. And my friend from the Ukraine is in New York, and she lost her job. And we've been talking on LinkedIn. Also, that's how I got the other idiot. So I saw a New York number, so I was like curious if that was my friend from the Ukraine. Yeah, I went to Ukraine a few times. I made some friends. Anyway, sorry for that. Excuse me for eating. So anyway, again with the FX and the paper, and I say, look, just buy physical. It's not that hard. That's all you need to do. I don't understand why people are so intent on not to buy physical gold. She started talking about carrying cost and insuring it. What are you talking about? I don't insure my gold. There's no carrying cost. I put it in a safe in my house. I'm not going to insure it because then people will know I have it. So I don't want to go there. Putting it in a safe, it's just as safe as my TV or any other thing I have in the house. I got baseball cards here. What am I, So it keeps bringing up carrying cards and carrying costs and security. And I keep saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody's going to know that you have it and then you can hide it. But I think people are worried about the wrong thing. They're going to go rob a bank. If you're going to go rob something, you're going to be like the professor on Money Heist. You're going to go rob the Bank of Spain. You're not going to rob Tokyo's house and think she's got money. I mean, it's just ridiculous thinking that. So I just, I'm like, okay, stop scamming me, and that was it. So I've deleted this girl and you can go fuck herself. I hate that. Kenzie's still bothering me for money. Oh, you don't respect me. I go, Kenzie, you don't call me. What the fuck is that? I'm supposed to just give you money, even though I don't know who this is, just because you have a name. That's like when she pops on here. I don't know that. We don't know that's Kenzie. We have no idea who that is. I could create an account and call myself Kenzie. So it's just stupid, but got to be careful with these girls and their scamming. Not good. I had something with rent. My rent didn't go through the other day. It's supposed to be an automatic pay on the 1st. That way I don't worry about it. And it didn't happen. I go to the office. They charge me $75 fee, late fee. And they, oh no, we're going to reverse it. I said, what happened? We don't know. We think it was a computer malfunction or something. And I'm like, so it wiped out everybody's automatic pay. So anybody who had an automatic pay got wiped out? Why don't I believe that? So your whole automatic pay system went. Anyway, I reset it, so it should be good. I should get my $75 late fee refunded because it's their fault. I just didn't catch it. Anyway, What else? So that's the NBA. Not much excitement. Then I saw something else. I thought would be interesting. So this was a Forex trade because I'm like, what is it? Gold Forex trading. How do you trade gold on Forex market? Gold Forex trading is a term used to talk about the ways you can gain exposure to gold via FX markets. Instead of buying and selling the precious metal or speculating on its price using futures, you can trade it as a dollar denominated currency pair or via gold linked pairs. Now, again, you're dealing with fucking dollars. You're dealing in US. Why don't you want to own the gold? I don't understand people. Why don't I want to have 50 ounces of gold in front of me as I show you guys? It's yet they're so scared of it. Nobody wants to buy the gold. Oh, well, it doesn't move. It doesn't go up. It doesn't do this. And I got to secure it. And I got to buy a say, oh my God, stay in dollars, stay in this crap. And when it goes to zero and you get fucked, yeah, but so what do you put your money in a bank and you trust the bank is not going to have a bank run or go out with everything happening? So your alternative is keep 100 grand in this. You're getting inflated because it's just paper. This is paper. This is nothing. This is the government. So you're trusting the government that it's worth something. Yeah. Good luck there. We don't trust the government about anything. Why would we trust it about money? And then so it loses value. So to protection. So now you're in the bank for protection. It'll be safe there. Well, A, it doesn't have value. B, you're not going to be able to get it out. So are you really safe in there? No, but if it's in your house, something might happen and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? So anyway, you just have to be smart, and you're getting out a dollar to get into gold because gold's a real money and it's got real value and it can never go to zero and it's only going to go up. And with all this shit happening, look out. Dollars losing value. Nobody wants it. All the countries are out. So we talk about a lot, but this FX is just another bullshit. Just stay away from it. There's no reason to be in it. Anyway, let's go to Alistair McLean, McLeod, McDonald, whatever we call him. So let's go into Alistair. My friend Scott always calls me at the wrong time. I call him, he never answers. He calls me back. I'm in the middle of working out, watching a game, doing my stuff. All right. So we'll look at the conference with Alistair. Stop what you're doing. Yeah, okay. So this is from the other day. So let me go to this is when he was at his conference. One of the differences that I would say we should note between Asia and what's going on in the Western Alliance. So here he's at the conference itself. All this was thrown into sharp relief when the Americans decided to sanction Russia. And of course, as America's allies, we all followed in.
as NATO, which according to Lord Ismay, who was the first Director General of NATO, said, the purpose of NATO is to keep Americans in, Russians out, and to subdue Germany. Wow, great. And they're still doing it. That was founded in 1948, the year I was born, and they're still doing it. And I'm surprised in a sense that the Europeans haven't come up with a separate policy, foreign policy from NATO. Because that is the key thing. This about the Ukrainian situation. Really, what America wants to do is to stop Germany becoming a commercial trader, if you like, partner with Asia, where the true opportunities for Germany really lies. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that political side because it's too controversial. But as far as we are concerned, we have a new situation. We have a banking crisis. Now, this banking crisis is something which I think the collective efforts of Russia and China could not achieve. And that is make the rest of the world frightened of being highly dependent, overly dependent, totally dependent on Western financial systems. Vladimir Putin, back, I think it was in June last year, there was something called the St. Petersburg Economic Forum. And that was in June last year. He stood up and said, why would you hold dollars and euros in your reserves when the Western Alliance, or the unfriendlies as he calls us, can cut you off like that? This is what actually happened to Russia. He also said, why would you store your gold in their financial centers, London, New York, Paris, Zurich, whatever? Get it under your control. Now, the relevance of this is that there were 81 official delegations who attended that conference. And there were goodness knows how many other unofficial government attendees out of the 14,000 who were reputed to attend. So they have been warned. They were warned last July that as risks elevate.
So that's the point, right? Putin's sitting there knocking everybody, and everybody, so he says, why do you want the risk? That's a lot of reason why everybody's getting out of the dollar. And again, it goes back to if nobody wants it, it doesn't have a value. And all of Europe has most of their money in China in the dollar, and they're all getting out. And that's why it's just going to collapse everything, because they're the ones with $7 trillion in the banking system and in the stock market. So if they pull their money, then it all collapses, because again, it's supply demand. If the demand drops, if everybody pulls their money out, then the demand drops, the price goes down. So that's what's going on. Let's go to another piece.
Is so much part of our lives. When you have someone come to do some work on your house, he does the work first.
Talking about credit
now. You owe
now.
him a debt, which you will discharge at the end when you're satisfied with his work. He is giving you credit. Even at that level, credit exists. It is entirely our financial system. Gold has been excluded from it. The only exception is central banks, who understand at least partially what I'm telling you and what I will tell you. Because they have been accumulating gold, as John Reed, the excellent John Reed, said this morning. Amazingly, central banks have been building their gold reserves, and guess who? It's almost all emerging markets. They've woken up to it. They listened to Putin back in June. They know, they begin to suspect that they should actually get the hell out of our financial system. This is a very, very important development. Now, to work. If I can get this going. Hold on, I'm going to turn this round so I can see what I'm talking about. Right. First thing, I did mention this briefly. We've got to define money, currency, and credit. I find increasingly that economists seem to think that, the folding notes that you get in your pocket is actually money. No, it's not. in our currency, pounds, we still have the vestiges of the relationship. If you read every banknote issued by the Bank of England, signed by the cashier, chief cashier, it says, "I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of," and then the face value of the note, £10. Now that goes back to 10 sovereigns, which we suspended before the First World War. Now 10 sovereigns, to give you a rough idea, a sovereign has moved in terms of its value measured in pounds from £1, one sovereign, to £1 now buys 1/400th of a sovereign. Now I put it that way because this is actually what's happening, and I think this is a very important point. When you talk about inflation, when you talk about rising prices, it's not rising prices. It is the falling value attached to credit. Whether you print it or not, it doesn't matter. What I'm looking at is the value of credit. It has fallen substantially. And if you think back to America at the turn of the last century, or certainly before 1933, the dollar was fixed gold was fixed, if you like, at 20.67 to the ounce. It then got devalued. Today, it's 100 times that. There's 1% left. 1% left. That's what's happened. This is what happens to credit over a long time. Yet we think it's money. It is not money. It is quite simply credit. Now the Romans invented banking, along with a few things that went with it. It's something that evolved under Roman law, and there is a history to that. I'll run through it very, very quickly. Now, the legal definition of money is gold and silver coin or billion. Right, let's go on. Right, it all started with the 12 tables in 448 BCE, and this was when the first Roman coin came out, and this was the ice, and it actually weighed just under a third of a kilo, and it was made of bronze. They evolved a bit from there. Gaius was an interesting juror. He wrote very extensively in the early 2nd century AD, Common Era they call it now, and he set the tone for common law in England at that time. And of course, the Romans had left England before Justinian, who sort of collected everything together and provided the basic definition for money and credit going from there. But the real two jurors who came up with the differentiation were Ulpian and Paulus. Now, basically between them, they defined money as being in two forms, or rather, medium of exchange being in two forms. One was depositum, which you would take a bag of money or whatever it was, and you go along to the bank and you say, "Look after this for me." That's deposited with the bank. That is custodial function. Not to be confused with our bank's deposits today. That is mutuum, where you go along to the bank and you give them some money, or you transfer credit from somewhere else, and you say, "Put that into my account." And what happens then is that the bank owes it to you. You are a creditor of the bank. And this was set out by these two jurors. It was also confirmed later by Alexander Severus, some 50 years later. And then finally, the whole lot was put together in Justinian's Pandex, and that was 530 AD. And the problem was that Justinian was an emperor in the Eastern Empire. They were still talking Latin, they're still using Latin, and this was all written in Latin, and they were applying the law to predominantly a Greek population. And so eventually this was sorted out and consolidated into what's known as the Basilica, which was under Basil I and his son, and that was some 400 years later.
All right. So basically what he's saying is the money's useless. What he initially said, it's just paper, it's garbage, and you want real money, which is gold and silver. So that's kind of the thesis, what he's talking about. And he's saying this came back from the Romans, and that's the way it is now, and it's legal. That you don't have to do it. Gold and silver is legal money, but we don't really care because we're not really buying it as money. We're buying it as commodities, as gold and silver. I'm buying an ounce of coin not because it's worth $50. I'm buying it because it's worth 2,000, going way up. And once people realize that the paper's no good and the banks are no good, everybody runs in the gold, and the price of gold goes way up. And that's what we know. We're not guessing. It's not an opinion. This is what's happening. This is why I tell you, be careful with the stocks. Be careful with you don't want to be in ETFs. You don't want to be in FX. You don't want to be in anything paper. You only want to be in physical. The physical will go because that's what everybody wants. So the collapse is coming. They're all buying ETFs that doesn't hold any gold. It's like we own the Mantle card, not we are owning an ETF of the Mantle card. We want the Mantle card. I got the card. We don't want an ETF that says, well, you own the card, but wait, so does 1,000 other people. And that's the problem with these ETFs. All right, let's move further action. We'll do Notre Dame football. Let's go to further action in the game.
And it incorporates patents, trademarks, and so on and so forth. Incorporeal wealth is abstract rights, and this is where credit comes in. That's all credit. So what we're looking at is bridging the corporeal, which is gold, physical wealth, and the incorporeal wealth, which is credit. Now, the modern monetary system is, as I said, purely credit, but that is subdivided into banknotes, which we know, and bank credit in the form of deposits. And the ratio in dollars is around about 8.2 times, but about half of that, it is estimated, is actually outside America. So the real ratio is probably about twice that, say somewhere between 16 and 20 times. Now, credit needs an anchor. This is desperately important. People think that the quantity theory of money is what drives the relationship between what they call money, which actually is credit, and its purchasing power. Well, there is an effect, but it's not that great. It's credit that needs an anchor. Now, if you give credit an anchor, and the chart I've got here is just illustrates how at a time when bank credit expanded very, very rapidly, prices held pretty steady. I mean, as I say here, between 1844 and 1900, the wholesale price index was unchanged. Now, I would admit that you can't measure a general price level. I mean, this is one of the beefs I have with modern macroeconomics. It's a load of rubbish. You can't measure it because for each of us it's different. But as a rough indication, you can see what's happened. And as the banking system, which is the credit system, was perfected over the course of the 19th century, you saw the fluctuations in the value, if you like, of that index just diminished and diminished and diminished. So you need that golden anchor. Now, there was a big expansion in broad money supply over that time. It was about 11 times, according to figures from the Bank of England. And yet, what was the price effect? Nothing. We saw something similar after the war.
So the anchor he's talking about is gold. That's the gold standard. So if you have money backed by gold, you have an anchor. Means you can't just print it to death like they're doing now. That's the problem. So when you don't have an anchor, when you don't back it by anything, this is toilet paper. This is the problem now, is that nobody's got anchored their dollar by gold or silver or anything. They're just printing it and printing it and printing it. And the Keynesians think I can just keep printing it. If I need money, I'll print it, no matter how much debt. And that's obviously what the problem is. The banks are freaking out because of the high interest rates. They're all going, oh, this is going out because they keep printing it. The more you print, the less it's worth. So when he talks of anchor, gold is the anchor. But that's why when you had the gold standard, everything's fine. That's what killed the Romans. They took their gold and silver out of their money and put copper and brass in, and then there goes their money. So again, you can't exist without that anchor. And this is why I bitch about the Keynesians and the communists, because they want to just print. They think that's okay. They don't get it. And that's what's amazing is the Russians and the Chinese are far have far more money than have far more gold than us. There's a thing I'll show you on Alistair. He says basically we don't have anything. We have, maybe I even showed it on Egan yesterday or Tuesday. He doesn't. The U.S. has far less gold than they say. They don't have 8,000 tons, and the Russians and Chinese have far more than they say, which we know. I've told you that. And how do the Russians and Chinese get it, and the U.S. doesn't? In the UK and Canada, why are they this stupid? I mean, what the fuck? And it's all it's the Middle East, it's China, it's Russia, it's Czechoslovakia, it's those type of countries that are buying the gold, not England, the US, France, Canada. Like, what the fuck? So all those people think for some reason they're being led probably by Soros, who's trying to bankrupt them, and he's doing a good job because they're all a bunch of fucking idiots. They think they can just go in and print money and it doesn't matter. But that's the gold standard. You actually have the gold, but you don't really shop with the gold. I get that a lot. Well, what am I going to do with the gold? How can I buy groceries with gold? Well, you don't. You have a currency backed by gold with the gold, and the currency that you have backed by it is what you go to Target and McDonald's and everything else. So you exchange your gold and you get all this dollars and you go shopping. And then if you want more gold, you turn in dollars and you get more gold. And they have to have enough gold for all the dollars printed, which keeps them from printing the dollar to death. And that's what's happening. So that's what he's talking about. And this debt system is because they're printing the dollars, it's all debt. It's the government owes you money because they're printing it for you. So you return that to the bank and the government owes you. The problem with the banking system now is the money's not there for us, right? If we have $100 grand and we go to the bank, give me my money, they're not going to give it to us. It's not our money. It's the bank's money, and the bank's holding it for you. So in the account, you're a creditor. The bank, Chase, I owe the professor $100 grand. Doesn't mean I have it. Doesn't mean I'm going to pay you, but that's what it is. And if I have gold at home, I have to buy a safe. However, if I have money, it's safe in the bank that won't even recognize that they see my account, but they don't have it for me. It's lent out or whatever. So it's just a bunch of bullshit. All right.
Bretton Woods. I mean, Bretton Woods fixed the dollar at 35 of them to an ounce of gold, and prices were pretty stable. And I'll show you in another chart in a moment. Until the whole system fell apart. Now, the strains were created, if you like, by excessive growth of credit, and also in the case of America, they were bundling notes into Vietnam, first of all, Korea and Vietnam, weakening it at the central bank credit level, which eventually flooded home, and of course the Bank of France. Because that was originally Vietnam was Indochina. The Bank of France led the way in terms of trying to redeem these unwanted dollars for gold at the U.S. Treasury. So, I think to dispel any idea that there is some sort of iron relationship between the expansion of credit and its purchasing power. The point is, it has to be anchored in value. This is brought out in this next chart, which is of oil. If you go back to 1950, the price of oil was $2.57 a barrel. And it was more or less that until the Bretton Woods system was dollars. as the US government would have us? Or do you take it as gold? I mean, not only is the price of oil immensely volatile when priced in dollars, but at one stage, it was up to $140 a barrel. That was before the last financial crisis. It's come down a little bit recently after the spike last year following sanctions against Russia. But, the trend is quite simple. What we're looking at is the devaluation of the dollar. We're looking at the purchasing power of the dollar collapsing and the currencies that are tied to it, which is what this next chart shows. I mean, since 1971, when we came off the Bretton Woods system, sterling has lost 99% of its purchasing power. The dollar has lost, on today's price, something like 98.75% of its purchasing power. Something like that. The euro.
So that's what I tell you. That's why it's ripped, because this is what's left out of the 100% of the dollars. 98.5% is gone. This is the 1% that's left, which means the value of it has gone down. And we don't really see it because we still see a $100 bill. It's what does the $100 bill buy? And it doesn't buy anything. I mean, you're going to the grocery store now, it costs you $150, where before it cost you $30 or $40 because things are more expensive. Not the dollar loses its value, things aren't more expensive. And that's what we always get to. That's what I keep saying is the dollar's losing value, so things cost more, not prices are going up. All right, so basically, that's it. So if you want this, it's this one right here, right there. So there's Aegon and there's Alistair. Okay, about 33, Aegon's 40. Now there was a Alistair today. Now
monetary metals.
He says a lot of the same things, but let me get to just a couple of key points.
They may be under pressure regarding, reducing these positions. So what is your take right now on the positions that the bullion banks have short? And do you think they're going to just have to reduce those short positions going forward? And what kind of impact will that have on the metals prices?
Yeah, well, we don't know the full position. The only information that really comes out is from COMEX and also the CFTC Commitment of Traders report, which gives us an idea, because the bullion bank traders are in the swaps category and they make up the majority of the swaps category. So we can work out what that is. But the turnover on COMEX is roughly 1/8 of the turnover in London. So the big position is in London. We don't know what the position is in London. My guess is that the larger banks have probably got themselves straight in London, but I can't guarantee that. But I do see the smaller bullion banks not necessarily being long in London, but or rather not having bullion, actually being short. I mean, particularly where they run unallocated accounts for customers. That is a liability, which is the equivalent of a short. But on COMEX, yes, they are short. I mean, they take probably the majority of the short side on that contract. So you're looking at, amongst the swaps, an average short position, let's just say gross shorts of around $2 billion each. These aren't trivial sums. We have, as we've just been discussing, a situation where the banks are trying to reduce their risk exposure generally and reduce their balance sheet leverage. So it's very easy for me to imagine that the treasurer knocks on the door of the commodities dealing team office and says, when are you going to reduce these positions? I think they are. I think they will be coming under pressure to reduce their positions. And I suspect that the current shakeout, which has taken gold down from what 2040 or whatever we got up to around about we're currently 1983, 1980, something like that. It wouldn't surprise me at all if a lot of that is they're trying to desperately shake the trees, get out all the speculative positions, which will allow them to close their shorts. I think that's probably what's going on in the market at the moment. If gold rises in price, which actually, I mean, you and I will, should understand that it's not gold rising, it's the dollar tanking, actually. But if the dollar price rises, then say into new high ground, then I think some of these bullion bank traders could get themselves into difficulties. We've said this before, and they've always managed to wriggle out of it. May be able to wriggle out of it this time, but I just see there's so much going on in the banking system in terms of contracting credit, in terms of central banks technically bust, and they're meant to be rescuing us from all this, by the way. I mean, it's there are just too many things, I think, to take the view, which has always been right in the past, that somehow they'll wriggle out of it, they'll manage to get their bears back. They might take some losses, but it's not going to undermine the system. I think this time it could be different.
I think.
So, I know many of you are going, why is gold price going down? Why is silver price going down? He just answered that. They're trying to get the hell out of it. The people that are shorting it, the COMEX people, the JP Morgan people are all freaking out because they know they're going to lose trillions of dollars shorting the gold price that's going to go to the moon. They're all shorting it. And as he said, it's not the price really going up, but the currency going down. Of course, they don't understand that. Of course, it's going down. It's just going to go to zero because all the foreigners are taking their money out. They don't want to be sanctioned and they don't want to get hurt. So I'm getting out of US dollars, just like I did, right? What did I teach you? Get out of dollars, and the only alternative competition was gold and silver. Do I buy euros? Do I buy British pounds? Do I buy Swiss francs? No. Do I put my money in the stocks? No, because they're all going to crash. So the only place I could take 100 grand is to buy gold with, right? That's the point. And that's what he's saying. So they're all getting out of it. There really isn't anywhere to go. But because the dollar's collapsing, gold has to go up. So that's why I say there's no risk. The only risk is if the dollar goes up. The dollar can't go up because, as we know, the only way it can go up is if it's actually backed by gold and they stop printing it, which neither of them are happening and are going to happen. So what do the central banks do? They're all going broke, as he said, and they're supposed to be bailing out the banks, and they're the ones who are broke, but they're buying gold. They're getting out of dollars and buying gold as what we're doing. So we're doing the same thing as the central banks are doing in Europe and Asia, which is buying gold, buying gold, buying gold. Like I said, China's got, I don't know, China's, let's say, got 30,000. I thought it was 40, but he said it was like 30, and Russia's got like 10 to 15,000 tons of gold. So they're just waiting for the price to go up. So that's what's happening. It can't go down because it's attached to the dollar, and the dollar can't go up because they're printing the hell out of it. And the demand's going down because all these countries are getting out. So the only thing that can happen to this is this goes and gets ripped again, and it keeps losing value. That's the only thing that can happen to this. It's got to lose value, which pushes the gold price up. So you have a no risk, I'll call it an investment because I don't know what else to call it. It's really security, but it's also it's a dynamite double. We're going to get, not only is the price, is it safe? We're out of the dollar, but the price is going to go way up because it's priced in dollars. It shouldn't be priced in dollars. Gold should be priced in gold, which is the point I'm trying to make. When the dollar goes out, we'll still be fine in gold because gold will then have its own price. So don't worry like, oh my God, Bitcoin priced in dollars. Bitcoin doesn't have anything. When the dollar goes out, Bitcoin will go to zero because it's not a currency. It's not gold. It's as much as they want it to be. It's, I guess, like a Mano card, only it's not as popular as a Mano card. So Bitcoin is like a collectible, right? Not quite a Rolex or a Mantle, but it's a collectible, right? So what's it going to be worth? Well, are people going to want to collect it? Probably not. Right now, people are going to want to collect gold and silver and Mantle cards and Rolexes, basically. That's what you want to be in. The Rolex and the gold and silver are basically the same thing, but I'm not sure if the Rolex will go up as much as the gold and silver were. It should by theory, because as the value of the dollar goes down, the Rolex goes from 50 grand to 80 grand. We're expecting the gold to go from 2,000 to 50 grand. So theoretically, it's a similar point, but probably the Rolex has gold in it, which is probably going to make it go up. But I'd rather have the coin than the jewelry. But it's the same idea. So because it's gold's priced in dollars and the value of the dollar can only go down, the value of the gold can only go up. That is the point of why I'm telling you to buy it. That's it. Why is it going down? Nobody wants it. They're sanctioning people. All these countries want to get the hell out of it. They're going to pull their money out of the stock market. That's why that's going to tank. Nobody wants bonds, and nobody's in the bank because the banks are collapsing. So you have no other choice. But most people in America don't realize it. The foreigners realize it, that they're in trouble. And you can see the Chinese and Japanese are not buying bonds anymore. They're getting rid of dollars, and Russia's already can't because they're sanctioned. So all the big players with all the gold are not dealing with the U.S. dollars. India and South Africa and Saudi Arabia hates us because we did something to them. And so that's really what's happening. So our system's collapsed, only we don't know it yet. It's like the score is 35-0 at half. We lost the game, but we don't, we're not going to give up. Yeah, you gave up. It's already over. So let's see what the next question. So that's kind of what he's saying, which is what he said in the other video, which is what he says a lot. It's not the value of the gold going up. It's the value of the dollar going down because they keep printing it and nobody wants it. So it's just it's the same thing as my Canadian club. This for you, Bobby. This goes up in price. Now, if nobody wants it, this would go down. This would go to zero if nobody wanted Canadian Club 12-year-old. But if a lot of people want it, the price goes up. So what is it? Oh, it's based on demand. If people don't want it, it has no price. If people, I don't know, my Barcelona, if I spent 12 euros on this, if nobody wants it, if he can't sell it, the price goes down. Well, that's what the dollar is, right? The price is going down because nobody wants it, right? That's exactly what is happening. So don't forget that. Everything goes to supply and demand. If there's demand for something, it's worth more. And if there's no demand, it's worth less. That's why the 20-year-old girl is worth a lot, and the 60-year-old girl doesn't have any value because nobody wants to date her. And so it's as simple as, as those terms. Ribs, why are they expensive? People demand ribs. I like ribs if you make them right. Chinese food, any, food and good furniture, a good fridge, whatever it is that you want to buy. If it's nice and there's demand, the price is higher, right? And that's the thing. All right, let's hear this next
we
question.
Typically see is when there's a large short position, then those are resolved by the price going down, and then the bullion banks typically win, right? And we just saw, I believe it was back last year, they went long for a little bit of time, and that was pretty much around the low for gold and silver. So it seems like they don't lose that often, but you're saying this time might be different.
This time could well be different. Yeah, I mean, the irony is if you look at the managed money, which is really hedge funds, you look at their position, when they bought it, it's time to sell it. And when they've sold it, it's time to buy it. I mean, it rings the bell every time. Sooner or later, that is going to change. And it'll change basically when the system is bust. And I think there is a heightened danger of that now, more so than ever in the past. because of, as I say, the banking crisis is just in its early days, and the position of the central banks. I mean, who would want to own credit in these markets? I mean, you sort of think credit, I mean, it's not anchored to anything anymore. The system could well fall over. And the sensible thing to do is to actually get out of credit and get into real money where there's no counterparty risk. And guess what? Legally and through the millennia, that money has been gold, physical gold. And that's what we're seeing. And so I think it's only a matter of time before the dollar gold rate goes up into new high ground. But rather than thinking that it's a gold bull market, no, it's a dollar bear market. And I think that's the point. And as soon as the general public, I mean, the foreigners will understand this first. But as soon as the general public latch on to the fact that it's the dollar going down, not prices going up, in terms of food, in terms of everything that you need in your life, then when that is widely realized in the population, then that's the end of the currency.
Inflation is out of control. Cryptocurrencies are failing, and the stock market is as volatile as it's ever been.
Widely realized in the population.
So we're the Joker, and we're 5 steps ahead of the game. That's what's frustrating to us, to Bobby, to Nick, to anybody. When's it going up? When's it going up? And I ask the same questions. And when you see it going down like the last few days, you're even more freaking out going, well, why is it going down? Who's selling it? Nobody's selling it. It's the derivatives being sold. It's the fake, gold price is going down. No, it is not. It's the derivatives are selling. They're dumping to lower the price on purpose. It is not supply and demand. It is not people selling gold lowering the price. Who's selling? I mean, the Russians and Chinese are there. It's got nothing to do with that. You watch this. This will be back to 2,100 in 2 weeks or so. But it's just being triggered. It's, again, the government wanting you not to buy gold because then you'll be outside of the fence. We can't track you if you're not in the gold. We can track you in, look in PayPal. If you sell something worth $1,000, they're going to 1099 you. If I sell gold, nobody has a clue. They don't want that. They want control. This is a strange government that they want so much control over us. But that's what's happening, is the same thing. So again, we can't lose, but we're 5 steps ahead. We know what's going to happen. We know the dollar's going out. We know the gold price is going up. We can't predict the exact time, but we know it's really, the pot's boiling. When does the pot boil so I can put, put my meat in, right? And you're waiting and you turn it on and it's simmering, but it's not boiling yet. When's it going to boil? That's what we're doing here. We know it's going to boil. We can't tell you exactly when, but we know it is, and we're ahead of the game. And it's not going to be 2025. It's not going to be 2024. It'll be this year. People are getting out, and these bank runs, these bank collapses is really the beginning, because it gets the foreigners out, because the foreigners, they don't know any better, and they go, well, my money's in US dollars. That's safe haven. Now they're like, well, I guess it's not safe haven, and they don't know where to put it. And it's really the only answer is gold and silver. And silver is good because it's cheaper. But if you really have a choice, I would say to be in gold than silver. I think it's the gold standard. It's not as finicky. It's like solid, where silver, I guess, goes up and down, although silver is going to really move, but apparently it goes down quickly also. But that's all COMEX. I don't know if it does once we get to physical silver, where it's physical. I don't think it's going to, once we get to a physical real market world, I don't think it's going to do that. All right.
Then that's the end of the currency.
Cletus wants to know, I consistently hear 2 arguments concerning gold.
You don't give a fuck about
Cletus.
Cletus.
Gold is not an investment, but a store of wealth that has maintained a constant level of purchasing power over the ages. The second is how gold is great to have because of situations like Weimar Germany, where a few ounces of gold could purchase an entire city block, thus showing an immense increase in purchasing power. Not sure about the historicity of the 2 ounces of gold buying a whole city block there, but I think the main thing is it, do you hold gold to increase your purchasing power in crisis, or do you hold gold to preserve your wealth?
I can't believe he's asking that question. This is what I have the problem with these hosts and these people that do these shows. How the fuck can you ask that question? How do you, and this guy sells gold and silver coins. So if you want to buy gold or silver, you call him up, say, send it to me, and then he'll mail it to you. Now, this is what this guy does. He doesn't know he doesn't know that question. He's got to have Cletus. See, do you ever hear me say Cletus asked the question? And like, what do I got to, I don't give a fuck about who the hell is Cletus. Why would I ask that? That's a question that I would ask because I'm curious, but I give you the answers to those type of questions. I'm not asking if Alistair's sitting next to me, the fuck if I'm ever asking that question. I'm asking him one question. When is the physical gold price going to happen? What is your insight on that I don't know, that we're waiting for that? And he's going to tell me, well, Howard, it's basically when the demand for the dollar goes is when we go physical. That's it. And I already know the answer. So that would be the only question I would ask. I'm on par with Alistair, right? I got my master's. I'm thinking as an economist, not a salesman. I'm not trying to sell you anything. And this really frustrates me. And this is Peter Schiff, and this is all these morons are the same thing. They don't know how to answer the question. They know it's a good question. Maloney will do charts, which I hate. Rickard's fucking, he's a Keynesian, and Peter Schiff doesn't know what the fuck. He's just trying to sell you gold. So, I mean, this is why I get so turned off and so upset when I hear these other idiots asking these type of questions. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Oh my, that's like saying, what's a teaser? That'd be like me saying, Alistair, what's a teaser bet? I mean, fucking Christ. Okay.
Well, I think it becomes a changing situation. You hold gold basically to preserve your wealth. I think that's the starting point. Now, if the situation really deteriorates, then there is going to be a rush out of credit into gold, and so gold in its own right will increase in purchasing power. And at the same time as that happens, you're likely to have a very, very severe slump, depression, if you like, in economic activity, which means that all assets basically denominated in credit will become surplus. They will start losing their purchasing power because they become a source of sustenance. I mean, you find that, where you got two homes, you'll sell one home. Why should you, why hang on to, when you can't make ends meet suddenly? So you can see that, assets like property and so on, and all these things which we valued, like classic cars and, your favorite Ford Mustang or whatever it is, you're going to get rid of it because you want to eat. And so you will see it evolve, I think. If this situation does deteriorate, gold will evolve from being, if you like, a store of value, protecting your wealth, to purchasing power rising, because it's not just the dollar falling, but the real value of the assets that you could buy will be falling. And your viewer may have heard me say in the past that it is recorded that in Berlin in 1923, for $100 you could have bought a nice townhouse in Berlin, sort of 5-6 bedrooms, for $100. $100 at that time was just short of $5. So, it happens. And not only that, but there's the speculators. Hugo Stinnes was he was known as the inflation king. At one stage, he owned about a quarter of all German industry. He thrived in the collapse of the paper mark. And he was buying estates for nothing. I mean, picking it up because there were so many distressed sellers. It's and that is the situation. So eventually you will spend your gold. I think that is the point. And there will come a point where it's right to switch back out of sound money into things, if you like. I'm not saying credit, but things.
So
I guess the answer,
that's what I keep trying to explain to you guys is we're going to go buy a house with an ounce of gold. Mostly because, we're getting the double dip. And that's exactly what I talk about, right? So what's the double dip? I'm getting out of the dollar. I'm getting out of the toilet paper here, right? So I'm getting out of that and protecting myself. But because everybody's going to run into gold, the power of the gold purchasing power is going to go up in value. That's where I'm getting the 50,000 from. Now the plot thickens, right? Now we understand that's the whole basis of what I've been teaching. So not only is that going to lose, but as people need money because they're not buying gold, they're going to be selling their assets, and we're going to be picking them up with an ounce of gold here and a half an ounce of gold there. This is why I scratch my head going, I got 50 ounces. Do I need more? And this is why I give Jenna half an ounce, and I'll go give Irina an ounce or two, is because of this. This is because I know it's going to make them very rich and very happy, and I'll take care of them as I want to. But that's the point. How much do I need? And at this price, what the fuck, buy another 10 ounces. It doesn't matter because we know the outcome. It's like knowing the outcome of the Super Bowl was Kansas City's going to win, and Kansas City's getting a teaser, getting 7.5, and you bet $200 or $2,000 on it, and you say to yourself, well, I might as well bet another 2,000 and another 2,000 and another, because I know what's going to happen. I know they're not going to lose by 7.5, and that's really what you're doing here. Is exactly what's going to happen. The dollar's going out. The gold price is going up. You're out of the dollars, so it's not like we're going to lose anything. They'll lose a little bit. The gold goes up, and then we sit there and buy a Mercedes, and we can buy a nice house and go on a nice trip and do everything with a half ounce of gold, an ounce of gold, which we spent 2,000. I spent like 1,800 on my gold, maybe 19 a little bit. So here I can probably buy for 20.50. So I go ahead and buy my gold, boom, and you buy more. Why not? And that's why I'm telling, like Jenna or the girls who need money, who I'm trying to help, and I said, just wait. I can't sell the gold at 2,000. We're gonna sell it at 50, or we're just gonna, I'll buy you a car with a 1/4 ounce of gold. That's what I'm seeing down the road. Forget being an INFJ. Forget that I have a master's in finance. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's very obvious what is happening now, what's going to happen, and off we go. That's why I tell this girl with the FX. She's worrying about carrying costs and security and insurance. And I'm like, fuck that. Just buy the coins. They're going to go through the roof. But since your FX is in US dollars, it's going to go to zero. So you're going to lose all that shit that you think you have. And the coins are what's going to save you, or the bars. So the bars I have in silver, I have a 10-ounce bar and a 5-ounce. I have two 10-ounce bars and a 5-ounce bar of silver now. And the gold, I have 1/4 ouncer because he didn't have any gold, but he had a 1/4 ouncer. And I got to get back to the store and take a look. Maybe I'll go tomorrow after work or during lunch versus Saturday, because Saturday probably have more traffic, although there could be, I could check in both days to see if he has any gold. But I'm really waiting for my paychecks to come in, although I can pull some money out of the safe now that I know I'm okay and I'm working and Obviously, they like me and I'm doing a good job, so I'm going to have the job for a while. But that's the point. The gold is going to go way up in value, and a lot of it's going to be bartered. You're going to buy a house. You're not going to go to a mortgage company. You're going to knock on the door. Oh, you want to sell your house? I need money. I got to sell my house. So let's be the seller. I got to sell my house. It was 500,000. I can't get anybody. The money's worthless, and I got to eat. I got to feed my family. Well, I have an ounce of gold. How about an ounce of gold that's worth 40, 50,000 for your house? And, no, probably not a Tom Brady house or a house, a millionaire's house, but a $300,000-400,000 house that's now down to 100,000. Yeah, he'll probably take the gold, maybe 2 ounces or an ounce and a half or an ounce and some silver. Absolutely. And then we start bailing out with the silver. Goes down to 10-1. We start transferring that. I paid $300. Give me an ounce of gold worth 50. That's going to be the beauty of the silver. That's my idea with the silver, is to get out of it like that. Not really, when it's 2,000 an ounce, yeah, I can see cashing it in a little bit, but I think it's more to buy more gold. I don't think you can have enough gold. I think you can have enough silver. And I would just keep the gold going as much as you can, but it's $2,000 a shot. That's what makes it. I can walk in with $300 and get silver, but especially when the guy doesn't have gold, all I can do is, he has it, and it's going to be, 2,100. So I've got to focus. What do I want there? All right. So that was Cletus.
The question is both and, right? It's purchasing power, preserves purchasing power, and also in times of crisis, it can increase in purchasing that power there. We have a question here from Alan. Who is selling all the gold to the central banks that the central banks are buying, and where does it come from? We just got out another statistic here. First quarter of 2023 was, again, a record gold buying by central banks. So where's all the gold coming from?
A lot of it's coming from mines, obviously. Some of it's coming from scrap, I guess. But I don't think we've got the same sort of scrap situation that we had back in 2011 when, people were selling unwanted gold jewelry into pawn shops, or, anyone in the industry wanted to buy it. I don't think we've got quite that situation. So you do have this mine supply. I think also that, bear in mind that the above ground stock is around about 200,000 tons. So you could see, or you could envisage that at these prices, there will be some people who, have owned gold for a little while and will sell it. We've certainly seen some reduction in recent months, though I'm not in favor of the absolute latest figures. Reduction in ETF holdings, physical ETF holdings. So that has been a source, if you like, of some of it. I think also the other thing is that the Western central banks, those who have got their gold stored at the Bank of England and so on, try and earn income from their gold holdings, so they lease it. And I think that's been a source of supply. So what happens in that case is that the gold doesn't necessarily leave the Bank of England's vaults, but there is a change in the ledger entry, as it were. So quite a lot of that gold has probably got two owners as a result. So in a sense, we've got some very funny accounting going on in the background as well, which I think has provided a lot of the gold for mainly Asian central banks. And they think they've got it, but they may not have it. There may be a prior claim on it because it has been leased and they don't realize it has been leased. So, you've got all these things. I can see this market actually ending in a real disaster. Don't forget that America refused to supply Germany with her gold other than in just dribs of drabs. Then eventually they resolved that one. As long as Germany was asking for the majority of its gold from the New York Fed, it was just asking for a part of it. And that scared the Dutch central bank into thinking, my goodness, we better get our gold out of America, because this is telling us that it might not be there. So, there's a lot of funny games going on in the background, which we just don't know about. And this is another reason why, when you get gold, just hang on to it. I'd like to pretend that this is a gold bar. Actually, it's a copper one. But, if you got one of these.
So what is he saying is you buy physical, right? You buy the physical, you don't ETF, you don't FX it, you don't have the stocks, you got the gold in your house and you hold it, and then you can't get fucked. But look how you can get fucked in all these different ways. Oh, it's an ETF. Well, no, it's not yours. Oh, even these other central banks are buying it, and London's gonna fuck them and say, no, it's really our gold. We're just leasing it to you. So that's why you must take property of it. It's like anything. You must take it, and then it's yours. If you don't take it and you think you have it and you don't, it's not yours.
Lock it away. Don't tell anyone.
That's a good point there. And we have a viewer also wanting to know about, the security of holding gold in your own possession. Some people are concerned about confiscation. The question is, do you see privately held precious metal bullion being legislated illegal and forced conversion into central bank digital currency?
I wouldn't rule it out, but the amount of cooperation that I think that the American public will give the authorities on that, you can forget it. You just get absolutely nowhere. I also suspect that if the U.S. Treasury, U.S. government tried to introduce some sort of executive order to that effect, it would just drive up the price of gold. It would be counterproductive. We know that Russia and China have got a lot of gold. And if you want to empower them, then confiscate your citizens' own gold. I can think of no better way to empower the Russians and the Chinese. But of course, politics, changes something which is completely logical. Like, let's sanction Russia. What happened? We know the history of sanctions. They never work. And what it does is it empowers the country who you're sanctioning. Because, I remember South Africa. We sanctioned South Africa because of its apartheid policies. And what happened? South Africa became incredibly inventive. It turned coal into oil, into electric power. It did all sorts of extraordinary things. And basically, the country became self-sufficient. And what do we do with the Russians? We forget these lessons at all because of political expediency. We've got to do something. So we sanction them and we cut them out of SWIFT. Come on. This is the most stupid thing that, from an economic point of view, that anyone can possibly do. But you can see the political imperative, if you like, to take these ridiculous decisions. So I wouldn't rule out what you suggest. But this is why gold money exists. In fact, we store, quite a lot of Americans, their gold and silver and platinum group metals in vaults all around the world. And so, an American worried about this possibility can easily store his gold on a custodial basis. It's not on our balance sheet. It's completely separate. And it's audited. And we've got a running audit, so on and so forth. That can be stored in a vault outside America, Switzerland, for example, Singapore, wherever, in a vault not owned by an American corporation. And I make that point because if the instruction from Washington is to confiscate gold or surrender it or whatever, then that will probably include American corporations in their worldwide operations. So, I think this is what, we're very much aware of this at Gold Money because this is a fear which is genuinely expressed by a lot of people who store gold with us. So it's a way, if you like. I'm not recommending that you break the law or anything like that. Just make it a bit more hard, difficult, if you like, for the authorities to confiscate your gold. So that's a large part of our raison d'etre. And of course, on the other side, I mean, what you do is, you.
So he says he doubts they'll do it. That shouldn't be the reason you don't buy gold, is you're afraid of getting confiscated. And how are they gonna come in your house? I mean, they got to know you have it, and then you don't have to let them in. So I don't think that while it's possible is probable. Right? It's possible the Detroit Lions can win the Super Bowl, but it's not probable. So keep it at that. So Miss Kenzie, what's going on? I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you've got to let me know it's you. We can keep arguing all day and night about it, but that's my position. You understand my position. Does not mean I don't respect you. I do respect you. I wouldn't be talking to you, but that's not what it's all about. So you've got to figure that out. You can't think of me as an idiot that I'm just going to send money to somebody that I haven't seen or talked to. That's never going to happen. I'm the professor. I don't make stupid decisions like that. But if you're smart and you want to get together, then you'll do what I'm asking. So I really wanted you to see that part of Alistair. Again, this is just out 20 hours ago. So this is from the conference. So these two are good. And then this is, it's pretty much the same, but a little bit different. He gets asked specific questions. And then this is Egon, also from the conference, which we'll talk about Saturday, where he's being asked a few other questions. So we'll get to that. But it's a lot of what we talk about. It's nothing different. It's the value of the money going down, not the gold going up. But he did say it is a double, that you're getting it out of the dollar, and you're still getting the demand for gold going up, making it worth more. And that's really what we're getting into. So we talked about the hoops tonight. It's a hard call. I mean, Denver won game one, close. It's a low spread. I wouldn't really, I would let the game go, maybe over, because they scored a lot. Is it going to be high scoring today? I don't know. I don't follow it enough to know that, they're big over teams like Kansas City in football and the Lions. That's why I like the over in week one there. And then you got tomorrow, Boston must win against Miami, but the spread's 9. So Boston, it's do or die for Boston. Their back's against the wall. I look for a big game against them, and I look for them to possibly, I think Boston wins. I don't know if they cover 9. Seems like a high number against the Miami team who basically has won 2 series. So now you're getting where the teams are good, and you're not going to get it. This is like we're going to get a blowout. I don't know. However, you have the right idea for a blowout. Boston cannot afford to lose and go down 2-0 and then go play Miami, 2 games in Miami, and lose the series. So Boston must win. So look for a strong effort, but I'm not sure of that. NFL, still waiting to hear about Brady and everything. I don't know. I read week ones. We can go over that Saturday, week 1 of the NFL. They're the lines and see if we get anything. Any college news. We know Cam Rising's supposed to be okay. Again, gold, do not buy ETFs, do not buy FX. And even stocks be leery of. See, the second dimension of what's happening is people are going to sell their assets because they're going to need money. And that's really the key that you've got to understand. That's the other reason you want the gold and especially the silver, is because people are going to get out of the banking system, and there is no other place to go So think of it as the only restaurant is the Chinese restaurant, and there's no other restaurant to go to. Well, the barbecue one, the ribs are too high, and I don't want to go to McDonald's and the hamburgers. And the only place to go is Chinese, and that's kind of what we have here. There is no competition for gold and silver. There was a question, I think the guy asked him earlier about the U.S. dollar being the only, there's nowhere else to go. And he just said the same thing I say, go into gold and silver. All the currencies are collapsing, but go into gold and silver. That is where you go, even though, the government's saying there's nowhere else to go. Obviously, it doesn't matter. There's always gold and silver to go to. No, you don't go to the euro. He's saying the euro's ready to collapse. The yen's already collapsed. The won's collapsing. The ruble's collapsing. But they're going to gold. See, they're going the only way they can. And that's exactly what is happening and what we're going to do. The only way to get out of the dollar is not to hold the dollar. If the Titanic's sinking, the option of staying in the boat while it sinks is not really a good option, is it? Probably not. The option of the dollar going out and you're going to stay in dollar is like, well, I'm going to be in the Titanic and we'll watch the Titanic go down. No, the object's to get into the boat made out of gold that won't sink. And that's the same option with money. I don't want to be in the dollar. I can get into gold as the means out to survive the shipwreck and protect myself. So on one hand, yeah, there is no other, and that's exactly right. The toilet paper fiat currency is the same in the euro as the yen, as the Swiss franc, as the pound, as the Canadian maple leaf. It's all the same garbage. You don't want to be, it's not that the US dollar is better than anybody else, but you don't want to be in any of the dollars, right? It's all toilet paper. You want to get out of this into gold. And that's kind of, so what they're saying without saying about gold is, well, yeah, where are you going to go? The euro, the pound, the Swiss franc. There's no other dollar to go into. And from that standpoint, it's all crap. Although I don't know if the US dollar is better or worse than any of the other. It's all crap. However, I do know the one place you go is gold and silver. And that's why even if I go and the guy doesn't have gold, silver should be cheap. It's down to $23.50. It should be $27. For $270, I can go buy another 10 ounces of it. So that's one thing. When I go there for 270 worthless crap toilet paper dollars, and I can buy 10 ounces of silver, I think I do it every time I go there. Sometimes I bring money. Sometimes I just use my debit card. And that's why my credit cards have balances on it, because I've been buying gold because I've been afraid that I better buy it now as opposed to later. And I'd rather be safe than sorry, which means I do that in poker a lot. I'll get pocket aces. I bet 20 or $30 pre-flop at $1-2 game, right? And I get called. And then the flop comes and the guy checks. Well, let's say the guy, maybe he bets 20. I'll come up with 100. If the guy bets into me, then I'll bet 100. And then I want to win the hand right now. So I'm going to make a big bet to win the hand right now. That's called protection because I only got a pair of aces. And this guy, let's say it's this. Let's say I have aces and it comes ace, queen, 9, 3 hearts on the flop. I'm betting my ass off because I don't want him catching the 5th heart, which he might have already caught. So I'm going to make a big bet then, because I know if he doesn't have the heart, I'm going to make him pay for it. And it's really protection like we're doing with gold. So I'm trying to protect my hand when I'm in danger. Maybe there's two hearts. So let's say it's this. Let's say I have aces. So it's the third ace. And here comes, two spades. We'll use the Teddy KGB hand. So the ace nine of spades flopped, and I've got trips. And Teddy checks, right? See, I wouldn't have checked there. I would have probably bet to protect my hand against the flush. Now, when the nine hits, now it's a whole different game. Now I don't need to protect. I got the nuts. I can't lose. Then I slow down. But when I've hit the third ace and there's two spades, I am not waiting. And that's when you do not slow play. That is when you get aggressive and you bet. So you've got to understand that. You've got to be very aggressive, because your hand, you're in the lead. You want to win the hand, and you'd rather win $50 than lose $500, because the only way he's raising you is if he has the hand. So you bet hard on the flop, and if you can tell if he's calling you like, well, I'll try to catch the flush, and then a diamond hits on the turn, you're betting $500. I mean, you're like, all you can bet, and then the guy's never going to see the river if you make a real big bet. And you better, with two spades on board, then I'll take the hand down now. I'm not interested in checking, and then on the river he hits the flush and I lost. Why would I want to do that? So on the turn is when I make my big bet, not letting him get to the river. And if he's thinking of the river for $200, $300, or $500, he ain't getting there. So keep that in mind. So that's really gold and silver's protection. It's a no-brainer. What you got to really understand is people are going to be dumping their assets for food and energy and the second home, the second car. And if you think Warren Buffett is gonna do anything with his $2 billion in cash, see, he's thinking, I'll use the cash to buy the houses and the cars. That's what he's thinking. The problem is he's using the wrong thing. Instead of using gold and silver, he wants to use the very crap that is going down in value to zero. So his $2 billion is not going to buy him anything. So let's say he took the $2 billion and bought a bunch of gold, $2 billion worth of gold. Well, what he'd be able to buy with the $2 billion in gold would be 100 times more than he's going to buy with the $2 billion in dollars that are losing value that nobody wants. And as I said, when nobody wants it, the value goes to zero. That's the whole key to it. So once you see that, and you see that once there's no demand and nobody wants it, it's a zero. So Warren Buffett's going to be sitting on $2 billion of zero. Maybe he gets a little bit out, but basically he's fucked. But if all he had to do is buy gold and silver with it, and then he wouldn't have to worry about it. See, this is the part I don't understand. If I had $2 billion, it would all be in gold and silver. It wouldn't even be a question. And I'd be looking for an island to buy. It just doesn't make sense that people are so holding on to their dollars. They just don't get it. And it's really an embarrassing of the whole education system. They're not teaching this. But then the people don't know what to ask. You ever been at a job and they say, are there any questions? And you're like, well, I don't know what to ask. I'll ask when the question comes up. I don't know what to ask now. And that's really what it is people don't know what to ask. And, that's what happens, right? They don't know the question. Yeah. Well, I think that's what it is. People don't know to ask the gold question because, well, the price doesn't move, but they don't know why it doesn't move. And they don't realize they need to be more educated in it for these exact reasons. And that's the problem. They don't get it. So they don't know what question to ask, and they just see the price low without an understanding it's being forced down by derivative phony buyers and sellers. Nobody's selling the gold. Nobody's sold gold, dropping it down $25 today. To me, it's a buying opportunity. I hope it's there tomorrow to buy. And I think there's two reasons they do it. One, people will dump it because they think it is going down. So they'll get inventory in the system. And then the second thing is people who want to buy it now just knocked $100 off, going from 2050 to 1950. Hey, I can buy the same gold for $100 cheaper, because these dealers are a bunch of morons who don't have a clue, and all they do is go, oh, what's the spot? Oh, it's going to be $70 over spot's what I'm selling it for. Now, I don't know if they finally woke up at my place and they're going, I don't have any, where they have a whole room in the back room of gold, but they don't want to sell at these prices. I wouldn't be surprised. That's what I would be doing if I had a gold store. Half of everything that came in that I'm giving them under spot for is going into my safe. The other half I'll try to sell to pay rent, but the first half is I'm waiting for it to be 50,000, so I'm getting these ounces cheap. Now, that I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing some of that, but that's what it is. So that's really what you're trying to do, is do the gold and the silver, take advantage of the low prices. So you should be buying now. Anytime it drops, you should be buying. It just allows you to buy more. So instead of maybe buying 5 ounces, I can now buy 6 ounces for the same price, because I just saved $100 an ounce on the gold price going down 100. So if I buy 5 ounces, I just save $500. Sounds good to me. So that's part of it too. But I would be out. If I had a lot of money, I'd be in the gold and silver. I feel pretty fortunate for the money I do have. I have as much gold and silver as I have. And again, I tell the gals I got gold, and I give Jenna gold and silver, and she doesn't get it yet, but I think she will. Then when it finally hits, then they're going to realize what I did for them. And, I'm going to save their lives, because they'd be dead without it, basically. So we will see. But anyway, so I did get paid today, which was nice. I just like that first, okay, I got paid. Now I know every 2 Thursdays I'm going to get paid. And this was 4 days. The next one's going to be 10, and it's going to be huge. I love it. And off I go. And I'll do one more Social Security, and then I'll end that, because then I don't want to start having to pay a lot of tax. If you don't work, you don't have to pay tax on it, but you only make 30 grand. Here, I'm going to make a lot more. So it becomes better to not work now, or if you do work, to end it. When you in 2 years, I'll be able to get it and work. And that's, if I have this job for 2 more years, I would definitely keep this job and start collecting the Social Security, and it'd be great. Buy a lot of gold then, although who knows what gold will be at. I'm just hoping the job stays around, the economy stays strong enough to keep the job. It's Harley. It's pretty recession proof. People who are going to want motorcycles, because gas will be expensive, and it's a lot cheaper to fill up, because you get a lot more mileage to the tank with the Harley than you would with a Toyota. And, so I think it'll sell. The name will sell. Unlike this will not sell at $100. This will sell at about 40 or 50, but with the recession and again, now this will go up in price. See, this is the problem. This will try to go up in price, but if the market says, no, I'm not going to give you 70, 80, 90, $100 for this, they can't raise the price, because they'll stay on the shelf. They won't make profit. Their stock will dive. Their company will go under. So you have to set the price where you can sell it, because you got to pay off all your bills. And the only way to pay your bills is to sell this. That's why I argue about prices going up, because Not necessarily they will go up, only if us market says we will pay for it. Do you really need a polo shirt? Probably not. I can, like I said, I can use the Nautica at half the price. So why would I pay more? It's a polo shirt. It's a collared golf shirt, basically. That's all I need. So just keep that in mind. What else? So that's economics. That's gold. That's Alistair. Well, we did Egon on Tuesday. We'll do them both. I don't know if I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe. If not, I'll definitely do Saturday and Sunday as I get more into this and more used to the hours and more used to it. Like today, I finished about 4:40 and then I started this, but I have my energy to do this. I'm much more energetic today. Again, my feet are fine, so I'm not taking my medicine, which was tiring me out. I'm just taking the Advil for my freaking back. That it's weird. Sometimes I walk fine, and it's funny. It doesn't hurt when I sit. It hurts when I walk, and I just like now I'm going to go to the hot tub. I've been riding the bike, and it's been fine. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, Bobby, have a nice night. We'll see you, I guess, Saturday morning. And Nick, watch your basketball. And everybody else, get out of the stock market, get out of the banks, and get out of the toilet paper that we call the US dollar. Get out of it and get into the other, get into the gold and silver. I don't understand the problem. Like this one girl's giving me a hard time. Well, you got to have the carrying cost and the insurance and the fuck. You don't have to do that. What do you? This is the reason you don't want to buy gold. First of all, how much can that be? Right? Not a lot. And then to insure it, it's probably not a lot, but you don't need to insure it. Just buy a safe, put it in your dishwasher or something and never use it. I mean, it's not that difficult. I hope nobody breaks into my house, but even if they did, I'm hiding it. So it's not very visible to see it. But my point is, I'm not worried about the insurance. I'm not insuring it. What would I insure it for? Okay, $2,000, and then it goes up to 50. Am I going to reinsure it? You won't even be money. You won't even have money to have a policy. So again, the girl's worrying about shit that there's nothing to worry about. And I'm sitting there going, I don't even worry about those. I don't even think about those stuff. I buy it, I put it in the safe, and I walk away. Goodbye. Then I go, now I got 50 ounces of gold. That's all I work. That's all I do. But anyway, just you got to protect yourself, and you're going to get the double dip of the demand driving into gold is going to raise the price, and you'll be able to buy a lot as people then start selling their assets cheaply, of which the currency will go down and down and down in value. So the Canadian club will go as the currency drops. The price this will go up in value, but so will the gold. So then a tenth of an ounce of gold will buy that, or probably an ounce of silver. That'll because the ounce of silver would be worth, let's say, 2,000, and this not going to be worth 2,000. I mean, it's an $80 bottle now, if you can even find it. I couldn't find it because they don't make 12-year-old whiskey anymore. I bought that in 1995, so it's now 35-year-old whiskey. So we'll see. Anyway, that's what's happening. So I'm off to bike and swim and try to fix my fucking back. My feet are fine. I don't have any, no temperature, no fever, no throw up, nothing. I'm perfectly healthy, but my back, which hurts because my foot hurt, and to get off the couch, it would be funny, things to get off of it, which I'm sure hurt my back, but I just can't. I probably keep re-injuring. It's what my fear is. I know when I sleep, it really tightens up, and I think that's probably a bad mattress or a soft mattress, but basically, so I always wake up when my back's hurting me, but it's been okay. It was a little sore today and then it went away. So I don't know what's going on. Anyway, no sweets, not a lot of salt. I went and bought a ton of veggies and I just made hamburgers. So meat and veggies should make me healthy. Anyway, I think that's about it. www.teaserking.com. Please feel free to email me with questions or comments. If you don't understand, I'm giving you the videos to watch are right here. So you got Aegon at the German conference. You got Alistair at the German conference. You got Alistair at another show today. And you got Egan at the German conference being interviewed by some idiot on Kitco. And I hate Kitco. The questions this moron asks, oh, so you think you need gold because of inflation? Like the guy will make a comment and the guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. This is a really hard time, but it's Egan. That's the only reason I'm watching it. But anyway, that's the trick. You understand why you're protecting. We're 5 steps ahead is why we're waiting. See, we're being prudent. We're not waiting until the shit hits the fan, the gold starts going up, and we say, oh my God, we need to buy the gold now. We're way ahead going, we know the gold's going to go up. We know the dollars are going to go down. So let's buy the gold and silver now at the cheap price. And now our biggest worry is, why is it going up? Or in today, why did it go down $25? It's fine. It's not because there's no demand. It's never that for gold and silver. And a lot of people are piling in, central banks. And then, when I go buy 5 ounces, it doesn't measure. And if I were to sell 5 ounces, it wouldn't measure. It doesn't even measure. The only thing that measures is central banks buying 100 tons. But even then, the price doesn't really move as it should. So that's why we need the physical marketplace to get the action of what's happening. Anyway, keep in mind the stock market is fixed. Wall Street's fixed. The banks are fixed. The banks run the government. So we know the government's fixed. So what we're dealing with is a lot of fixed things, right? That we have no control over, that we can't win. We cannot win in the stock market. The price will go up as they tell us and we buy it. And then all of a sudden the shit hits the fan and the price goes down. And we just lost all our money. And that's what happened. How old am I? Well, that's kind of inappropriate. Let's just say I'm over 50. Why do you care my age, Chase? I'm an Austrian economist and I got a master's in it. And I've been doing this for a long time. So not quite sure why you need my age. Say I'm over 50. How about that? I don't know you. I've never seen you on here. So what prompts that question? I don't know. It's a weird first question, Chase. I'm fine. How are you? Now, if you said, how am I? I'd say that's fine. But how old am I? I don't know. What difference does that make? Anyway, so that's really what's going on. You're crying because I wouldn't answer how old I am. Okay. I'm over 50. How about that? Does that make you happy? Okay. So basically, we're just ahead of the game. And again, it's not, everything's fake. I mean, so you're not making money in the stock market. That's why when I did buy gold stock, Newmont Mining, I got in and out in a day. It was like, make my money and get out. And the stock went from 65 to 45, right? Look at it. Why is that stock going? It's a gold stock. Why would it go down to 45? But I got out before I got killed in it. So that's also the thing to do. Is your hair is falling? Why do you have gray? Oh my God. You're going to be one of these, Chase. So this is a class. So either ask appropriate questions on economics, gold, or football or don't ask anything, but these questions are absolutely meaningless. I don't get them, and I really don't want to waste anybody's time answering them. Anyway, so that's what's happening. So we're just ahead of the curve, and we're just waiting. Probably a few more months. August is supposed to be the thing in Russia where they announce that they're coming out with the gold-backed currency. Anything to do with gold is going to make the price go way up, and we're just trying to get to the physical, but we know it's coming. So anyway, have a nice night. I'm off to the pool. www.teaserking.com will get the website, and you can email me from there. All right, everybody. Take care.